Wife royally annoyed and won't talk to me. How do I resolve this? My 34M wife, 36F, and I keep our finances extremely separate. We don't even have a shared account for house bills. When we got married, we split the bills so she's handling the car and house insurance and I handle all the other bills and groceries. No mortgage. I bought the house cash before we married. We still don't even file taxes together. This was her decision on how we split the bills. My wife has roughly 160 kelvins debt that she's been stressing a lot about. 70k of it is taxes she has to pay this year, and the rest is split between money she borrowed from her mom to pay off her rental property, and a credit card bill from having to get some repairs, and new appliances for her rental property. My wife doesn't handle stress well or properly. She's been so stressed about this, her health is deteriorating. She had asked me a few days back if I'd be able to help. I said yes I can, but she never specified the amount. Not wanting to see her suffer anymore, I made arrangements to get the money and give it to her in cash so she doesn't have to stress. She didn't accept it, and now she's poed at me thinking I'm not being supportive of her wanting to do this herself, and accusing me of thinking less of her because she has debt. Neither of those is true, but she's unwilling to hear me out no matter how I try. How do I fix this? My wife is amazing and I don't want this to cause a rift between us. Too long did not read. Exclamation mark. Wife is pissed and avoiding talking to me because I offered her money so she doesn't have to stress over it, and I don't know how to solve it. Help. I misunderstood what kind of help you wanted when you asked for help. I am sorry for not asking you to clarify. Can you please tell me what kind of help you do want so that I can help in the right way? Then ask for an apology from her for the silent treatment, and for getting mad about a misunderstanding. She's being irrational. Try writing it down in a letter to her. And if she still won't properly communicate, go to therapy together so you have a neutral third party. But if you do, I recommend screening the therapist first so you can make sure you like them. Also, depending on how much each of you make, you may want to consider filing taxes together because it could lower your effective tax rate. She borrowed money from her mom to pay off her third investment property. What? This woman is kind of nuts about money. That's a super odd decision to make. And her reaction about you offering to help is, as well. She's somehow managed to turn healthy share portfolio plus 3 properties free and clear into a situation which feels like she's in serious debt that's causing her massive stress. Like, at this point that's a kind of choice. She sounds unhealthily prideful, and it sounds like she has the mindset of my stuff your stuff. Not our stuff. I'm not seeing this ending well for you. On top of that her debt seems outrageous. If you decide to help her with it and even if she accepts it, I get the feeling you will live to regret it. I'm going to make a giant assumption that you guys have been married for less than 3 years. I just don't see how a couple married for longer can still function without fighting every day with that attitude and finance management. You two need couples counseling. Ideally, she needs individual therapy to learn distress tolerance skills, but that might be a harder sell, and you two would still need couples therapy. She assumed you had ill intent, instead of giving you the benefit of the doubt. That kind of mentality is really harmful in a relationship. But if you two talk it through with a professional, you may be able to not just resolve this, but get better overall communication skills going forward so the next potential problem between you two doesn't happen or isn't a big deal. I think OP's wife sounds like she's letting her ego get the best of her. This would be a good opportunity to uplift her, remind her she's ahead of the game with a rental property and that it is in both your interests for her to keep that property and herself up. Don't make it sound like it's a she can't handle her finances issue. Make it seem like you don't want her to have to sell a good investment just because it's a little rough now. She's struggling with her health because of this, which is why I'm saying I think it's best to be sensitive about her ego. You can later explain why she shouldn't feel shame needing help from you, her husband. And how you hoped she would do the same if you were in her position. You're a team, not competing. I think that sometimes women don't realize how direct men are in their thought patterns. Wife unhappy cause debt. Pay debt. Wife be happy. And here she is thinking there are like 12 levels of shame and shit to it. Maybe if you can get her to explain the rollercoaster reasoning that led her to believe you were willing to give her enough to pay off the entire debt because you think less of her and not because you love her and want her to be happy, maybe you can detangle this wad of assumptions. But for that you have to get her to talk to you first. Good luck. You are married. Her debt is your debt and vice versa. The fact she's keeping everything separate and got mad at you, are you sure it's only 160k? I'm sharing that because my best friend didn't know her husband was almost $700,000 in debt until they were getting divorced. She asked if you could help, then got mad when you tried to help. Honestly, she really needs to get into therapy to learn how to deal with stress better. As someone who just spent literally an entire day on the phone with the gas company, various government assistance agencies, lenders, relief agencies and a few friends, all to no avail, and who now has to spend this weekend of 30-degree lows in 80% humidity with no hot water. I had a really hard time reading this and feeling any semblance of pity for either of you. Go have some hot angry make-up sex on a pile of cash, why don't you? Who cares? Even though your finances are separate, when you step over that line to help with hers, there needs to be a discussion. Did you ask her if you can help her out? Wife asks for help. Wife gets pissed off receiving asked for help. Is she deficient in intelligence? This doesn't even make sense. It's not your fault, but you should find a way, maybe after this issue is resolved, to come to an agreement about finances. It's one of the two biggest reasons couples split up. With how you both handle finances, it doesn't seem like you both are a married couple. What was the point in getting married if you have separate finances? You both would benefit from therapy. She needs to learn how to communicate and regulate her emotions better. Her behavior is deeply unhealthy. Also, depending on the jurisdiction, her debt may be your debt too in the event of divorce, and if that's the case, you certainly weren't out of line. She needs to sell the rental property. Is there more to the story? She asked for money and then became offended when you showed up with money. Not sure which country you're in, but in Canada, it doesn't matter if your finances are separate. You are required to file together, including common law partners, and will be audited as so. My suggestion is to set ground rules and talk objectively. Don't let emotions and assumptions take over. When you said A, I felt B, so I did C. Maybe she was asking for help understanding her finances and with a plan to become debt-free. I'm not sure how she ended up with a $70,000 tax bill. My eyes about popped out my head reading that, but it sounds like she would benefit from going over her finances with you or with a financial advisor or a tax attorney. If she has a decent job and renters at her property, she'll probably be okay in the long term, but she needs to figure out that tax bill and maybe get that credit card debt paid off with a loan that has better terms. I'm drowning financially. About to miss my mortgage payment. Unfortunately, my partner can't help. He's on the struggle bus with me. She's being irrational. Sometimes we all need help, and she should be grateful for it, even though it's embarrassing to need help. The stress it takes on you isn't worth your ego. She's internalized her self-worth with money and against your stability. There's no way to talk to her about this, to be honest, because she'll have to change how she views herself and how she thinks others and you view her. She may need to talk to a therapist or a trusted third party. But she may not want to talk to anyone who knows her since it's about her self-image. It's pride. Wait until an opportune moment and then have a supportive conversation where you help her to accept the help, in a way that allows her to save face. You need couples therapy. It is clear that she holds deep beliefs about money, independence, financial autonomy. This theme will continue to pop up over time in various ways if it is not explored. Good luck. What do you do to have that sort of debt and cash laying around? You need to leave that woman. She is mental. Things we do for love. She is lucky you love her. I'll just say it that much. You are a good person. This is not a marriage. Just a financial arrangement. Marriages share everything, especially finances. Can I just say what a kind, lovely human being you sound like? She's lucky to have you. I suspect that her reaction probably has more to do with stress and shame that she's not able to handle it on her own. You definitely didn't do anything wrong, and I hope she comes to her senses and apologizes. If you really want to smooth it over, I would just tell her you're sorry if you misunderstood what kind of help she was looking for and ask her what kind of assistance she would like. She may just need some reassurance that you're still proud of her and don't think she's a fuck-up for getting herself in this fix. She could probably benefit from a little bit of therapy to help manage her stress, but that suggestion might not go over super well right now. Good luck. We need more people to think like you. I would just give her time and give her the money with a note. Just because she got mad doesn't mean she doesn't need the money. Also, you are her husband, no matter what you should help her. She is pissed at herself for getting into this much debt and is taking out on you. Your wife has issues. She asks you for help, then gets pissed when you give it. Also, while there's nothing wrong with maintaining separate accounts, having no joint accounts is a bit strange. Also, unless there's a good reason for filing your taxes separately, she's costing you money there as well. Don't resolve anything. Let her be angry because you didn't do anything wrong. Apologize and invest the money in a vacation fund for you both. Take the vacation to celebrate her paying off her debt. You can also, after apologizing, reframe it for her. She likely feels hurt because she wants to be independent and not rely on a man to solve her financial problems. Tell her you understand and respect that point of view, and explain that you wanted to do this for her because she's been stressed. Tell her you love her and you don't want her to be stressed if she doesn't have to be. I think it's also totally reasonable to have a conversation about how her debt stress affects you and your relationship. She could be so wrapped up in her own stress that she doesn't realize. Good luck. Y'all are way nicer than me. She's projecting her internal thoughts, of being less than for her debt and financial decisions. You didn't. If she wants to be irrational and ignore you, let her be. You didn't do anything wrong. And she knows that. She'll be back and make sure she apologizes for doing this once she is. If you want to stay married, your wife needs to have her money handled by somebody else. She's unwilling to do that, then you need to come up with a legal arrangement that makes you financially separate from her in the event that she goes bankrupt. My approach is always telling others my thought process and intentions if there was a misunderstanding regarding my actions. I'm just very confused about your wife's ability to handle finances and not working on bills, taxes, etc. together. If you didn't mention that you were married, I would have thought that you were just dating because handling finances is way easier when you're doing it together, and when you're married, doing it together makes sense. Is it possible she was asking for help in the form of advice and not money, or maybe you misunderstood what she meant when she asked for help? The debt is pretty worrisome, NGL. Lots of background would have to be obtained. Honestly, I'm not sure how anyone gets themselves into significant tax debt really. Set your W-4 for 0 exemptions and withhold more and never get a bill again. As far as running your own business. Yeah, that way it's madness. It sounds like this person literally has issues with money in the past and feels some kind of early life shame about being without. I would recommend destroying her makeup. Delete her favorite phone game. Your wife is a financial train wreck. That's why she wants to keep finances separate. $70,000 tax bill proves she is completely fucked and she wants to keep it that way. If you knew the extent to which she is fucked and didn't run, there is no hope for you, either. Enjoy living in poverty with nothing if you stay with this woman. JFC. It's just the money stress talking, now you remind her of the debt. It'll blow over. Don't get your panties twisted. How does she owe $70,000 in 1 year in taxes? Unless she makes bank or took a bunch out of 401k. Businesses, mismanaged. I think he is asking if he should help pay off her debt. Marriage is 50-50, you split, that's your debt in most states. If your finances are that separate, you aren't true life partners. Sounds like you need to have a much bigger convo about the structure and terms of your marriage. I'd use this as an opportunity to start discussing how you view each other's roles, life goals, respect for each other, etc. There are financial counselors who are therapists who help couples discuss financial management. Also, how much cash are we talking about? If it is more than $1,000, it directly increases stress, because what if the money gets lost or stolen before depositing at the bank? Your wife is a piece of work, and honestly, it's really sketchy to not be upfront with your SO about your finances, whether you're in trouble or not. She asked for help, you offered, she declined. You're going to have to ask her what help did she have in mind. She's going to have to be a big girl and communicate what's going on, because in my opinion she's being extremely ungrateful and shady not being honest with you. $160,000 is a lot. It's a lot to ask someone to not only chip away at but pay off entirely, even if you were talking about paying off the $70,000. $70,000 is a year's salary for some people, 2 years' salary for a larger portion of people. She needs to communicate to you and be upfront about this. She's being irrational. I'm in debt and I would love it if someone helped. Especially if it was my own husband. Just tell her you misunderstood and that you'll leave her to sort it out alone if that's what she wants. Go out early and come home late for a couple of weeks. When she asks why you aren't home, tell her that her attitude sucked when you tried to help her, so you would rather not be around that sort of toxic behavior.